Imagine being a young woman, glowing with the joy of expecting a baby, only to have another woman laugh at you, sneer at your body, and call you fat. Years later, karma came full circle, and the tables turned in the sweetest way possible. Today, I'm going to tell you how it all happened, and why revenge sometimes doesn't need a single word spoken to be deeply satisfying. If you've ever been body shamed, underestimated, or insulted for something beyond your control, this story will hit home. Stick with me until the end, because trust me, the payoff is delicious. And if you love stories where karma dishes out justice better than any courtroom could, hit that like button, subscribe, and welcome to the Payback Room, where revenge is always served ice cold. I still remember it vividly. I was 23, newly married, and bursting with excitement. My husband and I had just found out I was pregnant. My world felt magical, colors brighter, sounds sweeter, the future shining with promise. But with pregnancy comes change. My body softened, my belly began to swell, and I carried myself with the tenderness of a woman protecting new life. And then came her. Let's call her Megan. Megan wasn't a stranger. She was part of my social circle, one of those women who always had to be the center of attention. Beautiful, stylish, and sharp-tongued, she had a knack for making people laugh, but often at someone else's expense. When she found out I was pregnant, instead of congratulations, she smirked and said loudly in front of everyone, "Wow, look at you. Already getting fat? Guess motherhood is just an excuse to let yourself go, huh?" The laughter that followed burned into my skin like acid. I tried to laugh it off, but inside I was crushed. My cheeks flushed hot, my heart pounded, and I felt this deep mix of shame and rage. It wasn't just one comment. Every time we crossed paths, Megan would have some snide remark. "Careful, don't break the chair when you sit. You sure that's just one baby in there? Better watch it, or your husband might not recognize you after this." Each word was a dagger, twisting deeper. And I couldn't defend myself. I was young, insecure, and desperately wanted to avoid conflict. So I smiled, swallowed the pain, and told myself, one day this will come back to her. Pregnancy was already hard enough. The morning sickness, the exhaustion, the swelling. But Megan's cruelty made it unbearable. I remember one night crying to my husband, whispering, "Why do people have to be so mean?" He held me and told me to ignore her. But here's the thing, words stick, they echo. They don't just disappear. Even after I had my baby, even after I lost the pregnancy weight, Megan's mocking voice stayed in my head. Every time I looked in the mirror, I'd hear her laughter. For years, I carried that humiliation quietly. Fast forward 15 years. Life had changed. My baby was now a teenager. I had grown stronger, wiser, more confident. I had learned to love myself, scars and all. And Megan? Oh, life had not been kind to her. I ran into her one day at a community event. At first, I didn't recognize her. The woman who once strutted into every room like she owned it now moved slower, heavier. She was thick around the waist, her face puffy, her confidence dimmed. She looked at me, squinted, and said, "Hey, wow, you look great. I almost didn't recognize you." And inside, something clicked. This was the moment. Karma had done its job. Now, some people think revenge always has to be loud, shouting, humiliating, exposing. But sometimes, the sweetest revenge is silence. I could have reminded Megan of what she said all those years ago. I could have sneered, "Who's the fat one now?" But no, that would have been too easy. Instead, I decided to let her stew in her own reflection. So I smiled politely, said, "Thanks, you too," and walked away. But the real revenge? It wasn't in words. It was in the look on her face. The flicker of insecurity in her eyes when she compared herself to me. The way she tugged at her shirt to cover her belly. That was karma speaking louder than I ever could. Later that evening, I overheard Megan talking to someone else. She was complaining about her weight, about how hard middle age had been, about her husband losing interest. and all I could think was, this is it. This is justice. The woman who mocked me at my most vulnerable, who thought tearing others down made her powerful, was now living the very thing she used to laugh at. And I didn't have to lift a finger. Walking home that night, I felt lighter than I had in years. It wasn't just about Megan's weight. It was about balance, about fairness, about finally seeing the universe restore what was broken. Because the truth is, when someone mistreats you, the wound doesn't just heal with time. It heals when justice is served, when you know the scales have tipped back in your favor. And sometimes that justice doesn't come from us. It comes from life itself. Looking back, I realized I didn't need to humiliate Megan. She was already living her own punishment. Revenge doesn't always mean fire and fury. Sometimes it's just standing tall, smiling, and knowing that karma has your back. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear that karma never forgets. Tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, subscribe to the Payback Room for more stories where justice always finds a way. Until next time, remember, revenge is best served cold, but karma serves itself.